Ben, Merry Christmas.
Christmas? Bah, slime balls. I won't have any of that kind of business around here on my house-splaining watch. We should do house-splaining watches, actually. They'd be quite a good bit of merchandise.
I'm in. Well, I've just been down the lockup and we have got the house-splaining watches in stock right now. Essentially, they're old Mickey Mouse watches, but we're going to tape a picture of Alf over Mickey and ship them out at $3.99. Bob's your uncle. Lovely jubbly.
Yeah, that doesn't bring any joy to my heart. My cold December Ben Baker heart.
Oh, do I have to introduce myself now?
Yes.
Well, I am Tiny John Matthews.
Good.
It's something about gruel. I mean, that's what we can say, isn't it? That's the catchphrase of Tiny Tim, isn't it? Please, sir, can I have some gruel?
Truly, house-splaining is thin gruel this Christmas. But why am I in such a Scrooge-like manner, you may ask?
Oh, I hadn't noticed.
No, I'm doing acting. I'm doing a bit of acting there.
Oh, all right, okay.
It's because we are going to look today at the episode.
Alf's in a 1-hour special. When the Tanners lose Alf, he makes some new friends to get back home. It's Alf's special Christmas. Then, Philip Michael Thomas hosts an all-new Motown Merry Christmas with the Pointer Sisters, the Temptations, and many more in Motown's Merry Christmas, a night of specials Monday.
Alf's special Christmas. Unless you're in Germany, when it was called...
Christ, I don't know. I got so excited by doing this.
I mean, Christ, very fitting for the time of year, obviously. So, a bit on the nose. And what a nose.
Right, in German, wenn der Weihnachtsmann kommt, Teil 1 und 2, which means when Santa Claus comes, parts 1 and 2. Weihnachtsmann means Santa Claus, apparently.
I mean, it does sound like a type of, very strong floor polish, but, brilliant. It's all Christmassy and all festive, and God knows I need as much festive spirit / eggnog in me as possible for tackling Alf's special Christmas. When
we began the Alf-splaining project, as I pompously call it, back in the day, this was something we were both looking forward to and dreading. It sort of existed on the horizon like this great behemoth of television that we knew we would have to tackle at some point, and we were quite excited about tackling, but at the same time,
No,
yes.
I have never been excited about this. I've been dreading this episode 1.
I've been thrilled to do this, but at the same point, you've got to watch it.
I don't like giving away up front what my feelings are about an episode, but
no.
I hate our special Christmas. I loathe it. It is upsetting in all the wrong ways. But we'll get there. We've got the business up front yet, which is, of course, that this went out on December 14th, 1987, originally in America, and it got 21.1 million viewers.
Good God. Is that the first post 20 million we've had?
Yes, I think so, yeah. It puts its 7th of the week between some older pigskin football and 60 Minutes.
Did it ever get higher than 21.5 million?
Oh, it did. It's not the highest yet. It's going to get much higher.
Oh, that's a relief.
As we go. So, yeah, no, I was worried that this was going to be the... Also, on that week in the ratings, the 12th was the Bob Hope Christmas show.
Oh, good.
Which was called...
Yes?
A Snow Job in Florida.
From sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida, one of America's favorite playgrounds, we bring you Bob Hope's Christmas show, A Snow Job in Florida, at the 1987 Winterfest and Boat Parade, starring Morgan Fairchild, Reba McEntire, Tony Randall, Brooke Shields, the Associated Press All-America football team, the 1988 Rose Queen, Julie Jean Myers, and the 1988 Orange Queen, Lillian Wilkoshinsky. And now, here's the star of our show, Bob Hope.
A snow job in Florida. I don't know. It seems like it's a joke which they can't possibly have been making in 1987, but...
Seeing as though it's Christmas, an Eskimo takes his car in to be repaired, and the mechanic says, "You've blown a seal." And the Eskimo says, "No, it's just snow on my moustache."
Way! Also, puppetry and wonderfully on that week was Muppet Family Christmas, one of my favourite Muppet specials, which was 24th for the week. So that means that ALF was nearly 2 times more popular than a Muppet Family Christmas, which is frankly upsetting to me for reasons we'll make palliatively clear. Director was Bert Brinkhoff, as most of this series has been, and the writer Stephen Hollander, who was a producer on ALF, but seemingly only wrote 4 episodes of the entire series, of which we're about to talk about 2 of them.
Yeah.
He has a very thin IMDb.
Does he?
Yeah. I mean, he wrote for the appalling Bill and Ted live-action sitcom.
Yeah.
Did nothing for 32 years.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I couldn't find anything more, but I think he might have got out of the biz. So, up front, I normally sort of tell you a little bit about the plot of the episode we're about to watch, but if I may, I'd like to read you a review of this episode.
Okay, yeah, that'd be exciting, actually.
Yes. So, a strange episode which removes the usual studio-based chuckles and goes on location as Dad Willie decides to take his whole family and the old Alpha out to a cabin in the woods for Christmas despite their protests. From there, the furry one is mistaken as a toy and taken to a children's hospital to meet tons of sick and dying kids and... oh, it's one of those episodes with a serious message and no laughs and some cat eating. Okay, maybe that last one is exclusive to ALF, but there's an argument for ALF Special Christmas being the most depressing comedy programme of the 80s. Did you ever want to see ALF cry? He does here. Do you want to see ALF deliver a baby? That happens too. Do you want to see him talk to a depressed man on a bridge? Same again. And when they flash up a dedication to a real dead 8-year-old at the end, you know what? Nope, I'm done. Fuck ALF and fuck Christmas. And do you know who wrote that?
Who did that?
That was me. That was in my book. Christmas is better in the 80s.
And where can we buy that book from?
Internet. So we know we'll talk about the reality of the episode later on, but...
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. There is an elephant in the room here that, incredibly, it's kind of based on a true story, which we do know, you know. Yeah. So don't write in.
It doesn't help.
But we'll cover that when we've got through it, if we get through it, without jumping off a bridge.
Yeah. So we normally have a cold open, but we don't have one as such this because it's a special episode. And so we get the cast list, including all the guests and everything. And the font is in what can only be described as my first desktop publishing package, the beveled font, isn't it? It's very nice.
There's a lot about this episode not to like. So I've tried to pick out occasional things that I do like. And the title card, ALF's Special Christmas, I think looks great for the era. It's the classic ALF font in gold with beveled edges. I think it looks proper classy.
So once again, if you please do keep track at home of all the positives we say about this. So far, number 1, the font.
The font.
So
the typeface.
We get this opening scene of so the shots of the Tanners driving through what appears to be a barren wasteland after an apocalypse, but presumably that's just Los Angeles.
It seems very sunny, doesn't it? It doesn't look like cold sunshine.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where they've got lots of shots of this car and sort of a bit of a voiceover going in the top. And that voice is ALF singing legitimately unpleasant cat-eating songs.
82 cats are frying, 81 cats are broiling, 80 cats are baking,
Enough,
79 cats are toasting, 78 cats are boiling,
Enough.
77 cats are sizzling, 76 cats are poaching.
Right, there's 2 things about this. One is, I think they're actually in that car.
It wouldn't make sense not for them to be, considering that it is all... I mean, this is out of the studio completely.
But you can't see them in the car. I paused it on several occasions. You can make out shapes in the car, one of which could be Alf. They put a lot of effort into driving the family around and filming them without really bothering about it. The second thing is he's singing the 12 Days of Christmas, but it's about eating cats. And he's up to day 82. So how long has he been singing this song for?
I'm surprised he's not been murdered, quite frankly.
I mean, on the assumption he's not taken a breath, it must be hours if he's got to 82 on the 82nd day of Christmas.
We don't know where he started from, to be fair.
I'm assuming he started from one. I want mathematicians to work this out. Mathematicians, doctors and architects, Miss Reeves, I want them to work out how long Alf has been singing the 82 Days of Christmas for.
He won't stop Curly Whirlies, are far too elaborate. So Alf doesn't want to go to the cabin for Christmas. I don't think anyone does except Willie. And I mean, the first thing you see is that Alf in outside broadcast video quality is just weird. It's not on film like, old Christmas specials would have been prior to it, but it's not got that warm studio look either. It's a kind of weird amalgam.
The second positive thing I'll say about this episode is I think Bert Brinkhoff did a good job directing it. I think it looks good for the most part, and the fact it's out of the studio, he's done well. The boy done well.
Hello. Your call cannot be taken at the moment, so please leave your message after the tone.
Hello, writer and occasional broadcaster Tim Worthington here. You might remember that earlier in the year, I appeared on Alfsplaining to talk about the episode Prime Time, in which Alf comes up with a frankly ridiculous and scientifically improbable scheme to save his favourite show Poker Jamboree, which he'd never seen before, from cancellation. You might also remember that I expressed complete incredulity at everything to do with Poker Jamboree and the fact that it was in any way suggested it could have existed in the real world. Well, you'll be pleased to know that thanks to my efforts, Poker Jamboree, which didn't even exist, has been recommissioned and the entire series being released on Blu-ray, and I am being legally forced to do commentaries on it, and I cannot get out of it. Thank you, Ben and John.
We'll be flitting around a lot during this episode. It's not quite in just sort of regular scenes like you'd get in a sitcom, but we're sort of inside and outside the cabin for a bit. And look, if this wasn't Alf, I'd be sure Willie was a guy to get done up the tanner by a psychotic hillbilly with a machete. That's what I'm saying. It's got that kind of horror movie look about it.
Yeah, or it's either that or it's a Hallmark special where Willie has come back to a small town to meet his the love of his youth or something like that and open an apple shop or something. I don't really know. I don't watch them.
And it kind of ties into the latter one, really, because basically they're there because Willie had spent a Christmas there when he was Brian's age, and it's another Willie's youth reclaiming episode, which is very boomery. Did you ever go away for Christmas?
Nope, never. I mean, this is completely irrelevant, but last year I was at my girlfriend's parents' and I drove to my house on Christmas morning, and it was the first time I'd ever driven anywhere on Christmas Day, and I think possibly the only time I'd ever been out of the house on Christmas Day. So I've never been anywhere on Christmas.
I have. I mean, my parents owned a cafe for a few years, and they decided to take a trip away in some of those years. So we went to Benidorm, Malta, and Blackpool.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so went to Blackpool and saw Jim Bowen being a very offensive man.
What, just on the street?
Yeah, so you can read about it in my new book, if you're so inclined. Kissy Television, still very much available.
Where can I buy that from?
Internet.
Good.
We have this setup which is going to be like, oh God, this is going to be Willie the dreamer and Alf the realist. Again, it's going to be that sort of thing. And Willie goes, this is going to be that sort of Christmas full of warmth and love and joy. At which point, Alf shouts, help, help, I'm stuck in the outhouse like the true keen shitter he is. So
it's starting well. Alf has undercut Willie's schmaltz and sentimentality by getting stuck in the toilet. You know, he's wedged in his own shit, basically.
When Alf got stuck in the toilet, we all began to shout. Oh, it's great. And it does make you think that is going to be the crux of this episode. It's not really. It's not really.
No, but so far, so good.
Yeah, so Willie is unpacking the car and finds Alf has packed the TV and the microwave because apparently this week he doesn't understand how electricity works.
Lovely thing about this, 2 shots, two-shot camera, Bert Brinkhoff doing very well, focusing on Alf, focusing on Willie, cutting back between the two. Good. Good
yeah.
Ting, add a tick to the good things in this episode. Didn't Willie see Alf packing the television and microwave?
And you would think.
Didn't Willie wonder why the back of the car was weighed down so heavily for that 6-hour drive or whatever it was they took to get there?
Well, yeah, this is an 80s telly, after all.
Exactly.
And it's a massive box that says ALF on it in pen. So, yeah, I don't know. But ALF is upset because there goes the Perry Como special.
Now,
is that
in an absence
yours?
of many pop culture references this week, I went with Parents Como.
Just his actual name, Parents Como.
Parents Comosexual.
Come on.
It was actually Pierino Ronald, inverted commas, Perry Como, born May 18th, 1912 to May the 12th, 2001. Oh, he almost lived for 100 years.
Oh.
You know Perry Como, American singer, actor, TV personality, recorded exclusively for RCA Victor for 44 years from 1943 to 1987.
Whether he was asked to or not, he still kept recording from exclusively.
But yeah, it's not a pop culture heavy episode.
Not.
There's not a lot of top Willies or wardrobes or anything like that.
No.
But it's slim pickings for the regular features.
Yeah, Willie's pretty much for the entire episode in the same thing, which is kind of his survivalist hunting vest and a plaid shirt or something. There's not much to it really, is there? So we go back in the house and Willie talks about why it's so special to him, because one Christmas his dad lost his job. It's a really miserable story.
Well, what happened was my dad lost his job, and then we lost our house.
How do you lose a house?
No. We didn't actually lose the house. We couldn't afford to make the payments anymore, and we had to get out. Well, it was the middle of December, and we were literally out in the streets when Mr. Foley heard about what happened, and he said that he had this cabin up in the woods that he hardly ever went to, and we could stay there for as long as we had to. You know, that Christmas we had nothing. We had absolutely nothing. No presents, no toys, nothing. But I think that was the best Christmas I can remember.
Mr. Foley comes across as the most kind-hearted man in the world who lets them live in this electricity-free, unheated shack. But bearing in mind, Mr. Foley's a man with a nice, warm house in the city and probably a spare bedroom or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, Willie's dad lost his job and they lost the house, and that seemed to happen very quickly in the period of time. It wasn't like over a period of months this occurred. It seemed to happen on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's the only time. That's bosses look forward to sacking people at Christmas Eve. It's like rubbing their hands together. They can't wait.
Willie says they had no presents and no toys, but I think it was the best Christmas I can remember, which includes every single Christmas he's ever had with the Tanners family.
And then I had these kids and everything was ruined. Yeah, could well imagine that being the case. There's been very little Alf so far, like actual visual Alf so far, so it's nice to see him walk on with a lovely, nice new sweater with a piece of holly in his hand for Willie.
It's Christmas. It's festive.
It is. It's very much. And it would be a lot more festive if A, the holly wasn't poison oak, which Brian has to point out for some reason. And also the sweater is Willie's yet to be opened new present. Because Alf ruins everything.
Alf has already done one Christmas when he cut the tree down. Viewers with longer memories will remember. So he knows what Christmas is.
Apparently not, though.
So he said, "Take off the sweater," says Willie in a strange voice. You can paste that in if you want, but I think that was a perfect impersonation.
It's beautiful.
Oh, take off the sweater.
What are you doing with it?
Wearing it. I looked pretty silly in your new robe.
Honey, did you get me a robe?
Apparently.
This is good. The schmaltz is being punctuated by Alf being dickish. Alf seems in a very, very bad mood at the moment.
Yeah.
The worst mood than we've ever seen him in. And you know, when he wasn't in, you know, you still, like you say, there was a good chunk of it where Alf wasn't there. You could have flicked onto it and genuinely thought you were watching a Hallmark Christmas special.
Yeah, just another sitcom, yeah.
Until Alf saunters in, being angry.
Yeah, so even though he has done a Christmas with the Tanners, he's still ruined everything. He's told everyone what the presents are and put his name on as the sender of all of them. It's ramping up the dickishness, so I don't know, he might learn an lesson.
Oh, I hope so.
And Willie is furious at him for all of this, and he shouts him much like he did in the RV holiday episode, which Alf also sort of went off into the wilderness and got lost. And Alf looks sad. And because he's sad music plays to let you know to be sad.
They do punctuate it, don't they?
And Willie says, not to hurry back.
This is because Alf, for some reason, Willie decided to stuff the holly down his shirt. And when it became revealed that it wasn't holly and poison oak after all, everybody panicked. So Alf has been sent out into the woods to toss it away. We do get the best joke of the episode at this point as well. 7 minutes into a 45-minute episode, and we get the best joke. And Kate points out that Brian is the Cub Scout. How can you tell?
Elementary, Willie. Once a week, the kid puts on a blue uniform and goes to a meeting.
Are you finished?
Unless I hear laughter in the next few seconds. I withdraw the Cub Scout joke. Go on with your lives.
The big guest of this episode is here now. It's Mr. Foley, who's played by Cleveland Little, off of Blazing Saddles. He's 47 at this point, but looks about 80. And sadly, will just die in real life 5 years later than this, which is a shame because he brings a little bit of something to this episode, which it doesn't necessarily deserve, quite frankly. To the point of one of his earliest lines in this is, I was just on my way to deliver a truck full of toys to the hospital, and I thought I'd stop by and see if you need anything in town. He's a nice man, and that is a totally natural way of saying something that everyone can be on board with.
Yeah, he's I perked up when Cleveland Little appeared because I thought, oh, there we go. We're going to saddle up some rip-roaring laughs now. Oh, it's an actual comedy legend. And
no.
And, no spoilers, but I was a little bit disappointed. He's got this sort of van that looks a bit like a hot rod for some reason. And,
yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what that's about.
Well, I assume he's, because we find out, he's been a bit weird. We find out basically his wife's died, so clearly he's gone, yes, going to get myself a fancy van, going to rock up and down, fill it full of toys, going to be brilliant. He don't quite work out like that. He's quite sad about it, apparently.
Man.
But they really have to wring that information out of him because he's just being awkward and weird, and he gives Willie an envelope and says, don't open it to the 25th.
Yeah. Now, remember that, listeners. Remember that.
And it was at this point I thought this script might have been written by that talking toaster that Alf got in the previous season. It is that. Clunk. So he says, obviously, about this truck full of toys, and Alf goes, ooh, I'll nick them, because it's Alf. And so he gets in the back of the van. We don't see him, he's just in there, and he does some business, like thinking a skateboard is a rolling cat platter.
Good.
And at this point, I wrote, I genuinely hate this.
Please leave your message after the tone.
It's Rob who does Fessel and Beta and all that stuff. It's a bit awkward, but I've got a favour. If you could do a bit of a favour for me, I was on your podcast, that ALF podcast, and it's kind of gone badly for me. Really, it's a bit embarrassing asking this, but could you delete the episode? The one with me on it. I'm getting bullied off the back of it because these fucking ALF fans, they're onto me because they said I'm not respecting their great hero enough because I wasn't really into your ALF shenanigans, and I'm getting messages from strangers calling me a dweeb, an ALF hater. They're putting shit through my letterbox, mate. Could you just do me a favour and just delete it from the internet and pretend that it never happened? It'd be kind of all right if you did that. All right.
What's happened is Alf's got himself in the back of the truck and Mr. Foley has driven off. That's the basic plot as the episode requires it. He gets in the truck and he explains from the driver's seat as he starts the engine that his wife's dead. Now, neither Kate nor Willie get any closer to him.
No.
They just sort of stand there and give a sort of half-assed, oh, we're so sorry. And he drives off with Alf in the back.
Yeah. Soz.
And then he hurtles into the emergency parking bay at the hospital and leaves his hot rod truck there.
So yeah, he's fired off to the hospital. Alf obviously still in the back of the van, and Mr. Foley. Obviously, there's a big scene here where he finds Alf in the back of the van and he puts him in. No, sorry. None of that's there.
What? No?
We just cut immediately into the hospital where Mr. Foley is now dressed as Santa, pushing a sleigh full of toys through the hospital, and Alf, absolutely 5 times bigger than anything else perched on top of it all. And we just don't find out what happened between the van and there. We don't see him go, oh, this is heavy, or what have you, until later on anyway. And it's just like, okay, so he's just decided to be a toy. Pretend to be a toy, and he's handing out the toys. He's Santa, Mr. Foley. And apparently no one wants Alf. No one wants him, because he's an ugly get, apparently. Even though, of course, what were the biggest toys of this period?
Yeah, miniature versions of this horrible thing.
Yeah, but the kids are really not into him.
No, who's that? One of them turns up in Hugh Hefner's robe, one of the kids, and he requests the ball or the catch a mitt. I can't really remember.
Yeah.
There's one girl in the queue whose face is so pale and wan. I had to check my TV whilst on the fritz. she's almost painted grey. This child.
She is literally like a comedy orphan, almost like from Central Casting. But she's got parents. That's not the problem. We'll find out in a second. Because I said obviously him for Alf. But this little girl comes up called Tiffany and thinks Alf is a her.
I think it's the fringe, isn't it? It's the fringe that puts people in that frame of mind.
I assume so. And you know what? It's hard to tell sometimes, Yeah. It's only us putting our macho male gaze onto Gordo.
Well, there was always this thing about people were confused over Garfield's gender, just because Garfield sort of thought in the voice of Lorenzo Music that Garfield was male, but it was never really clarified until his gender had been changed many times on Wikipedia.
A damn fine point. This is Tiffany, who is Kerry Houlihan, long retired as an actor, but she was in a different NBC sitcom at the time called Our House, and they basically went, let's do some synergy. And then it got cancelled.
We moved into Grandpa's house. I don't think he knew what he was getting into.
What do I know about pantyhose and lollipops?
I really like Grandpa's friends. You sure do have a lot of queens, Mr. Kaplan. But I do not like his cooking.
You stay there and finish your supper.
It's only called supper in the country and in Western movies.
Well, if I call it dinner, will you finish your zucchini?
No. He's got a lot to learn about families.
Am I doing all right?
I think he's doing great.
Our House, September 11th.
She'd also been Marcy in a few of the Snoopy projects in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
The Charlie Brown Snoopy show, which BBC Two used to show. I used to love that. And she's terrible. I think she's terrible. She's really bad. Sorry.
I tried to find out what she was doing now, and as far as I can tell, she became a vet or something, but I couldn't really track her down to appear on this.
I mean, I'm glad she didn't, because she would have been deeply offended.
You never know. She might be ashamed of it as well.
Well, that is true. That is true. There's a lot of shame to be had. So she picks Alf, or Amanda, as Tiffany's renamed her.
I found it quite eerie watching Alf being lugged around without any movement, because they were clearly just shifting the empty husk of him from pillar to post, and it was quite odd.
Yeah, and again, we've sort of got this Alf pretending to be a toy, but we keep cutting to him and he's going,
yeah.
Stuff. No one sees this. No one sees any of his many, many mugging shots at all.
But at this point, she goes, "Thank you, Santa," and Santa goes, "You're welcome, darling." And I'm allowed to say that because that's exactly how he said it. Then he said,
I don't know if you are.
"Christmas isn't about presents; it's about the giving of yourself. And you've given me the most wonderful Christmas gift by saying thank you," which is the sort of sentimental crap that a normal episode of Alf would have had a field day taken apart, quite frankly.
I mean, I wrote at this point, how are there 31 minutes of this left? So he leaves Alf, or Amanda, with Tiffany, and Tiffany's doing that thing the kids do, sort of talking and having both sides of the conversation, little tea party and stuff. And she's just about to put some earrings on when Alf is like, "Whoa, hey up, hey, none of that. I'm not one." So and he reveals he's a living, breathing, hairy meat man.
This whole scene had a couple of, I'm going to say, good moments in it. She tries to squish him in the bed, the automatic folding beds, and
that is quite funny. It's a good visual image.
And of course, she puts a plate of cookies out in front of Alf, and every time she turns away, he dives forward and noms one, and that rose a mild chuckle for me. But otherwise, there was a lot of quiet in that scene. So much quiet. It was just, oh God Almighty.
And when there's not quiet, the sad music because to feel sad because it's a sad episode. He says, I'll better tell you all about me. And then we fade out. Well, Alf tells the tales of the previous 30-odd episodes of Alf, presumably. I hope he mentions the space cockroach and going to Gilligan's Island. I hope all that's in there. And so she sees that it's the right thing to help him escape from the hospital, get back to the Tanners. And so she returns him, even though she clearly doesn't want to. And Santa Mr. Foley goes, you can have both if you want. And she's like, no.
I tell you what, I did like the scene where she took Alf back to Mr. Foley and put him back on the sleigh. Oh, hang on, no, we didn't see that either, did we?
No, we didn't. We're just there. It's just little cuts. Like, I don't know if there is a longer version.
God, I hope so.
I do know there was a longer script because I found an interview about this with the guy who wrote it. 10 or 15% of his original script was cut for time. There's one scene at the beginning where the Tanners are driving to the family cabin and Alf's in the back seat in a child's seat with a little steering wheel. And every 2 seconds he goes, are we there yet? Are we there yet? That didn't get filmed because of production scheduling. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Weren't that in there?
Yeah.
Alf in a tiny chair with a little wheel. That would have been brilliant. It's rubbish. Which that's presumably why we don't see much inside the car at the start.
Yeah.
So she gives Alf back, and it's while Alf is sat waiting to be hoyed back in the van that a doctor comes along to speak to Mr. Foley, still dressed as Santa, and he gives him an envelope, which is definitely not a suicide note. No, it is an envelope, but you can't open it. Can't open it until 25th.
This is also interesting because she puts Alf back on the sleigh, and then Mr. Foley wheels him around, but he wheels him to the obstetrics and gynecology department where we meet Dr. Willoughby. So Dr. Willoughby is clearly a gynecologist.
I mean, I'm not, but I'll have a look at it for you, etc.
At which point, Mr. Foley asks this gynecologist if Tiffany's going to live, and of course he knows that she isn't.
No, that doesn't happen, does it? That doesn't happen.
It doesn't
happen.
They dance around it, but I don't know why he's asking a gynecologist about this.
No, but that doesn't happen. He says, I've seen Tiffany, and the doctor goes, oh, it's nice. She just wanted to see Santa because some of the other kids said Santa wasn't real. And how to prove it? Why, he read. I'll put the clip in.
Well, what'd you tell her? Well, I showed her this. Yes, Virginia. There is a Santa Claus.
The most famous newspaper editorial of all time.
He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist. How dreary would be the world if there were no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith then, no poetry, no romance to make tolerable this existence. The eternal light with which childhood fills the world would be extinguished.
The most famous newspaper editorial of all time.
It's no Freddie Starr ate my hamster.
It's barely man sucks off dogs for quavers. Rubbish. It's not for me. Anyway. But yeah, so Mr. Foley, as we've just heard there, reads from Yes, Virginia is a Santa Claus, very famous newspaper editorial, possibly the most famous newspaper editorial of all time. That's not for me to say.
I've heard that, yes.
But he instantly learns from reading that Tiffany's about to snuff it.
Mm-mm.
Like, there's no, is Tiffany about to die? And he goes, no, Tiffany was concerned about Santa existing. He reads this and he goes, oh my God, she's going to die. And this makes Alf do a face.
He goes, hang on, because I did write this down. He goes, what about Tiffany? And the doctor goes, I can't do anything for her. Because you're a gynecologist. That's why you can't do anything for her.
I mean, he can, but it won't be
any good.
It won't be okay. It's not what he should be doing.
Yeah.
I've heard about people like him.
So, I mean, fair news. They're going full tilt on the schmaltz, basically. They're not holding back.
What do you suppose to say to a little girl who's not going to see another Christmas? Answer is, can I have your slippers?
Look, she might just be going blind.
Well, there is that as well. So if I have to amputate your hands. There's so many jokes I could have done here. They're not. They missed out on some cracking gags. if this was the only when I laugh, well, it'd probably still be as miserable. Because again, this is a thing. It's a comedy show set in a hospital. There's always going to be a maudlin sort of feel to it, isn't there? Again, it's about a child who's going to die. And Alf, on learning this, goes back to her for, let's be honest, a maudlin chat about death.
What about Christmas?
I don't really have a handle on Christmas yet. People get uptight about presents.
That's because they just don't know.
Know what?
Christmas isn't about presents. It's about giving of yourself. That's what Santa Claus said.
After meeting you, I know what he means.
Do you remember, John, when this series had a giant mutant cockroach in it? And it feels like a different time.
I tend to give credit where credit is due. There were elements of this script, were it a drama, that were actually quite well written.
Yeah,
I think dancing around like that. He says, he says, Tiffany draws a picture of the pair of them together, which is a great big brown splodge, as Alf's in pictures tends to be. And Alf looks at the picture of Tiffany and says, "You're wearing wings," and it's there's no laugh. It's just Paul Fusco delivering a line extremely well. And he says they're beautiful, and you think, oh, that's sweet. Why can't the rest of the episode be this sweet?
But again, the problem is you can't do an episode like this, I don't think, when you've had 30-odd episodes of Alf being a knob.
Oh, yeah.
Alf's going to learn a lot of lessons in this episode, which I'm fairly sure he's going to have immediately forgotten come January 1st. That's all I'm saying. He's like, he talks to her and he sort of, he tucks her into bed and she's upset. She's worried. She's scared. She's afraid to die.
Yes.
And there is a cat-eating gag in there. That's fair.
Oh, he licks his lips, doesn't he, at something? Yes.
We talk about a few of our favourite things, whiskers on kittens and all that stuff. And he goes, whiskers on kittens, slew.
Nom, nom, nom.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but cats and Alf.
Right.
Wonderful match. Wonderful match.
Why have we covered this before?
I don't know. It's never come up, really.
They really could have warned me. This is Charlie, and ever since I appeared on Alfsplaining, I've had a recurring nightmare that I'm going to be asked back. No more. No more.
We now get to see what the Tanners are up to, because it's been a while.
Oh, yeah. I'd forgotten they were even in it, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, are they? Just because their physical presences are there, does it mean that they're checked in? I don't know. But it's clearly much later than we saw them previously, as it's dark, and Willie has opened his envelope.
By being specifically told not to?
I don't think Willie would do.
You don't think Willie would do you?
Willie's a sort of person, if you tell him, don't move from that spot, he wouldn't move an inch. So
he's getting giddy.
And Brian tries to moralise on him as well.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, piss off. Not Willie, me, obviously. I wish Willie had done that. There would have been much, much more entertaining a scene. But yeah, Willie has got his gift envelope open and it's the deeds to the cabin.
Now, remember that, viewers. Remember that. Remember that as well. Remember that.
And he says this is a far too large gift. And all the family go, is it? Is it? No. It's all right, I guess.
If somebody gave me a cabin in the woods for Christmas, right, I'd initially go, oh, that's nice. But then you'd think of the practicalities of it all, i.e. getting there, getting back again, having to keep it in any sort of condition over time.
Yeah.
And you think the effort involved in keeping a cabin in the woods must be far more than it's actually worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in a sense, it's not far too much a gift.
No. In fact, it's not really a gift, is it? Let's be honest. It's a tax exemption. More of that later on. So they suddenly go, Alf, you remember Alf? He's not here. And he's not been here probably for about 5 or 6 hours. And he's very quiet, so you wouldn't miss him.
Yeah, they do seem surprised he's not there, don't they?
It is an odd situation, certainly. We cut back to the hospital, and if you wanted to see Alf cry, this is the episode for you. And if you did want to see Alf cry, you sick bastard.
Yeah, it was going all right. The schmaltz, the sweetness of it, and I think, oh, fuck, what were we going to go with it? And then Alf walks away from the bed and he turns and there's this globule on his face and you think,
yeah, that's it.
What's happened there?
Is it a tear or is it a snotter? It's very hard to tell. Certainly with Alf, but yeah.
But then we get a lovely close-up of it as he, just to make sure everybody knows, this glistening tear.
And some sad music to know that you're meant to be sad. So, sadness. The theme is sadness. Because it's Christmas!
Yay!
Oh, dear.
Put in a champagne cork popping sound effect.
So the Tanners go looking for Alf, and they're in a spooky-looking forest.
Right. Now.
Which looks good.
Another tick on the positive thing. This looks great. This shot is brilliant. There's sort of a tracking shot through the forest. It's beautifully lit, and they're all walking through at separate points, and they all sort of come to a conclusion, a meeting point later on. And it was really good. Burt Brincroft has done a fantastic job directing this episode.
I mean, I don't know if that counts as an extra positive point because you've already said Burt Brincroft, so technically
the episode looks great.
Yeah. So it's, once again, Burt Brincroft and the font. There you go. There's positive things.
They were a great band, Burt Brincroft and the font.
3 more from them, etc. But yeah, so it does. It genuinely looks good, and indeed, it's almost a shame this isn't a Halloween episode because it would be perfect.
Yeah.
For that. And there's a little bit of concern from Lynn.
But Dad, what if he gets caught in a trap or if a hunter shoots him?
Oh, Alf's been around.
Yeah, he's had a good life.
What we mean is, I'm sure Alf knows how to stay under cover. I hope.
Alf's been around, apparently. Willie says. I don't know if that means. I don't know. I don't want to dwell on it, really. It's just, he's just been around. So, you know how I said those scenes had sad music, so you should feel sad?
Yes.
Well, now we get some zany music, which tells us, apparently, that we're meant to be laughing hysterically now. Here's that cue.
I wrote down it sounds like it's from a video game about a spooky circus.
But it plays over this shot of a hospital and it looks so grotty and depressing because it's a hospital. And I don't think there are times it's meant to be depressing, but I think that's genuinely just a sidebar almost. And Alf's trying to make his escape where he sort of bumps into a pregnant woman and her flustered partner who've just shown up at A&E because that's why the gynecologist is in this episode.
You've missed the lead there. You've buried the lead there because we get to see midget Alf again running across the corridor.
I don't know. I try to avoid thinking about.
I am excited to see it. Which I mean, is it the first time this series?
It's been a while.
It's certainly. The last time I remember is that the last Cabin in the Woods episode. But yeah, it was a real exciting moment to see the small person in an Alf suit run across the corridor there.
Fair enough. But I generally try to block that out if I could help it. So this is now meant to be the light. We've had the shade. So here's the light. So the pregnant woman and a quite annoying partner turn up, and it's a very 80s thing because he's got all the gear, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he wants to be a modern dad sort of thing. And they load her into the lift, and then he drops something in his bag, and everyone stops to help him with this bag. The pregnant woman, don't matter. She's in the lift. And once you Adam and Alf believe it,
what?
The lift shuts, and she's in the lift. Yeah. And it only flipping jams, doesn't it?
You know, the elevator gets stuck, and the reason that we know the elevator gets stuck is because the lady says, the elevator's stuck.
Yes. And she's, on her own in there, so she's very upset. Or is she? Well, no, because, of course, there's a hairy-handed OBGYN who's been hiding under the trolley she's on and has found a doctor's outfit and pops out to help. And she screams. She screams, I think, quite understandably, at this 3-foot hairy man.
Thing is, at this point, I was thinking, if I didn't know this show better, I'd think they were going to Alf to deliver a baby in a bit. But obviously, that's not going to happen.
No. I mean, that's exactly, obviously, what happens immediately after. And I do mean immediately after, like...
Denise, Dr. Gordon Shumway. I know. You already said that. Really, that's starting to get on my nerves.
No drugs!
You're not on drugs. Now just relax while I get
You're a doctor?
Yes, from Melmac. The Melmac Clinic in Minneapolis.
I never heard of it.
Denise, we're stuck in an elevator here. Now is not the time to question my credentials.
We cut out, we hear a crying child, and the baby's been had. He's off screen, and the mum is holding the baby, and Alf looks visibly shaken.
He does.
And just to remind us that we're meant to feel miserable, he suggests Tiffany as the baby's name. Fade to silent.
This whole segment, that's it. That's done now. That's that segment out the way. We can get back to the other terrible plots. But it felt like it was like a sketch from something. You know, if that had been a sketch in Jay Leno's Funny Side of Christmas or something like that, I think I wouldn't have minded it. We would have covered it on the Patreon Extra as a sort of a fun
totally.
Alf thing as part of an actual. It was like the rock video he made in season 1.
It's out of reality. Yeah,
it's a fun sketch.
Yeah,
and that's what that kind of felt like. That whole segment, Alf delivers a baby. Oh, he said, if Alf was hosting Saturday Night Live, there'd be a sketch on it where he delivered a baby, wouldn't there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And apparently, like in an interview which I found with Fusco, it's basically like he fought against doing that. Apparently, he just really wanted it to be really, really miserable. That was his main delight. Honestly, they said, "Oh, you should have a bit of light and shade, with Alf, dressed as a doctor," and he was like, "Oh, I don't know. It's no dead children." Spoilers.
Yeah, he said it's a key phrase. He said somebody said you need to balance the jokes off with the dying child, and the whole Alf delivering the baby thing was probably the silliest moment in the episode. But I think the audience forgave us.
I did not forgive. I do not forgive.
There was another bit of this because the elevator got stuck. They had to call maintenance. Turned out maintenance go home for Christmas at a
obviously
massive hospital.
Yeah. Why would you want that?
So the only person they could think of was Mr. Foley, and he stomped in, and he looked really pissed off. His suicide attempt had been interrupted.
Well, steady on. Spoilers.
Fix the lift. You can bleep it if you want. You can bleep out suicide attempt so that nobody knows what's going to happen.
No, because there's been no sort of idea that he's in a bad frame of mind at all. So
no foreshadowing. No, none whatsoever. I just enjoyed how miserable he was when he had to fix the lift, dressed as Santa.
And then the doctor turns up and goes, "I've opened this because even though you're telling people not to open these envelopes to the 25th, apparently we're going to do, and it looks like Mr. Foley's basically donated his entire life savings." And he says, "Oh, I did tax-free bit." And again, it's foreshadowing very much with a capital F. So sickly music cuts us back to the cabin with a sad Brian and Willie trying to build Brian's bike, which was his surprise, which Alf has already ruined. So,
he tries to make a joke about the slip disc washer, which may have been a top Willie moment for the episode. I'm not entirely sure. It was a reasonable gag, but I by that point I'd forgotten they were in it again.
Yeah,
so.
Again, the structure is quite odd from the cutting back and forth, because then we're back into Mr. Foley's van where Alf is in the back again, now dressed in the Santa outfit, which apparently fits him.
Inexplicably. I mean, Mr. Foley must have dressed him in that Santa outfit when he was carrying him back to the sleigh again, because we didn't see him how Alf got back in the sleigh.
No, what else did he do that we didn't see? We just thought, he's like, "I'm going out, I'm going to fiddle with a toy." We don't know.
I'm going to inverted commas repair Alf.
In the eyes of the Lord. So the radio is on. It says, "Oh, it's gonna snow right bad. Oh, it's Christmas Eve. It's great fun. We're all having a right laugh." Well, Mr. Foley's not having a laugh. He's having a sad. And he pulls over on a bridge in the middle. He's like, no one else is around, which is fortunate, really, because if there had been other things around, it would have been very, very rude of him.
Hurry up and jump, you're blocking the road, is what I would have said.
Well, so, I mean, you've said there pretty much. He's there to jump off the bridge because his wife's died and is very sad.
I keep spoiling the emotion of this episode, I'm sorry, by pointing out that the whole thing is building up to a suicide attempt.
Yeah, fun, Christmas, etc.
I apologise, I interrupted there. Carry on, as you were.
Apparently, while shooting this, the first take, hilariously, Paul Fusco, as Alf, shouted, "Jump, you've got nothing left, you might as well do it. It's the right choice." The crew went crazy, and I think that broke the ice with Cleavon. Yeah. Imagine if that had have actually done. I would have pissed myself laughing. If it had all built up to this guy, he's stood there, he's desperate, he's lonely, he's miserable, he's missing his wife, he's stood on the bridge, he's at the edge of his sanity, he can't hold on anymore, and Alf goes, "Jump, you fucker, jump!"
It would be in keeping with the show.
It would. That would be the Alf I know.
Yeah.
Not this one. This weird moralising git.
But it's a beautifully shot bridge scene. It looks great, and it reminds us. It reminds us all of "It's a Wonderful Life" as well, which is what you want from when you've got a slightly mediocre sitcom episode to remind people of a classic film of yesteryear.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So immediately, Alf can get out of the van. He knows what's happening and pops up to say, "Hey, don't do a suicide, you bugger." And obviously he's going, "What are you? Where are you?" And he goes, "I'm an alien, obviously. Do you not recognise an alien?" Mr. Foley's sceptical. And Alf says, "My most impenetrable pop culture reference of the week."
Okay, go on.
Which he says, "I'm debating with William F. Buckley."
I've my notes here. I'm looking at my notes, and I've said, "Is that a pop culture reference?" But I think I was so drained and exhausted by this point, I couldn't face looking it up.
Yeah, no, he was a political commentator on American television for many, many decades. So yeah, that's just to save it being the same as being Perry Como, basically. So who does Mr. Foley think Alf is?
I don't know, Satan?
Close. Satan Nicholas, in fact.
Ah, yes.
And Alf, always known for his big moralising speeches. He does them every week. You know, we were very familiar with the Alf speech, and so he does this whole spiel about life and...
Margaret is gone. I'm sorry. You feel like you lost your whole world. Believe me, I can relate. But you have unfinished business here. There are people you're leaving behind who still need you. And if you know anything about Christmas, George, you'd know this. Christmas is not about what you can get, but what you can give of yourself. A little girl taught me that not so long ago, and I don't know where she got it. You're a good man, Foley, and I can't afford to lose you. So let's get this truck on the road.
It just, honestly, it does not sound like Alf, any Alf that we've had. And even trying not to be cynical and appreciate that it has a nice message, genuinely, I just don't think it's well written at all. It feels like stuff happening.
And Alf says, "And you brought a smile to the face of a dying child," which are words I never thought I'd hear Alf say.
No.
Frankly.
So, I don't know. Did I mention I hate this?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Just checking.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hello, my name is Paul Gannon, and I've got to keep my voice down because I'm currently hiding in a cupboard in the bedroom of the woman I'm currently sleeping with, who is married to the local vicar. And my pants are on the bed, and the vicar's coming in, and how would be in this situation if it wasn't for Alf-splaining? Because when I went on that podcast, the ego went to my head. I started, throwing my weight around, demanding perks. Anyway, cut to the chase, Rogering, the vicar's wife. Oh, and he's angry. I thought vicars weren't meant to get angry anyway. I'm sending this to say, thank you, Alf-splaining podcast, for boosting my ego and making me think I could knob off a vicar's wife. Oh, hang on, I think he's coming. I've got to go. Oh, no. I'm just here to fix the tax bill. Something like that. Oh, no, don't do that. No, I'm sorry. Oh, God.
But he talks him down and he says, "So, where do you want to go, St. Nicholas?" And he says, "Take me to see Willie Tanner." I'm thinking of recruiting him.
Yeah.
He says, great, I've always wanted to see how you go down a chimney. So that means, of course, that Alf can't just go, I can't go down a chimney because, I'm not well or out like that. Yeah, so he has to go. So he's dropped off. Alf is now back at the cabin, and there's a noise on the roof. Could it be Santa?
They've all sat there. Willie's nodded off, of course, because he doesn't care.
Well, yeah, all the family sat around looking bored, except for Willie, who's asleep.
Yeah. Brian goes, this is the worst Christmas ever. And I thought to myself, it could be worse, Brian. You could be watching Alf Special Christmas.
Yeah. So they hear a noise, and it's like, is it Santa? And Kate's going, no, there's no sleigh bells, so it can't be Santa. Must be a burglar, clearly. And even though, we've established it's a cabin with no electricity or out in it, whooshed down the chimney, here's Alfmas.
There we go. And it's all, everybody's back together again, and the whole stress of the situation is relieved.
Santa!
It couldn't be.
Maybe it's a raccoon.
Willie.
It's Alf!
Merry Christmas.
Upside down.
Yeah.
In the chimney. Apparently not burning alive. The fire is on.
Yeah, he chucked some snow down to put out the fire before he fell down the chimney, which I thought was nice, bit of clever foreshadowing. But good thinking, Gordon.
It would if the fire hadn't.
The fire is still on when he gets down there. So,
But again, at this point, I think they've just gone, just get it out. Just get the episode done. Just get it out. It's like Max Wright is pacing around his room, cutting things into his own flesh. So should probably let him go on Christmas break. So they must have a nice Christmas after all, and they go back to the hospital. I presume the following day.
It's daylight.
I don't know.
It could be Boxing Day.
It's our day.
The child's at death's door. They don't want to wait too long, do they?
Yeah, well, no, that's fair. But Mr. Foley, he's full of life now. He's there fixing things with Tiffany. Full of beans while she's full of death.
I didn't like the upbeat Mr. Foley.
No, it's weird.
He slightly weirded me out of it.
Yeah. It's literally a little bit like it's the bloody Children of the Corn or something. It's like there's some sort of yes, everything's great now. I've completely forgotten about my dead wife. It's smashing.
He's discovered booze. That's what's happened.
I presume that is what it is. I assume he's been on the eggnog as well. Again, you'd need to. So the Tanners turn up with gifts and a message to go to the window for Tiffany. And she goes, and of course, Alf's in the car and wants to wave to her. And they do, and that's it. There's no happy ending here. It's a dying child saying goodbye, and it's harder knowing it's based on a real kid who died. And
yes.
as we sort of alluded to at the start, this is based on a real child who wrote to Alf, or wrote to Paul Fusco, called Tiffany Lee Smith. He do these little video calls with kids. For the Make-A-Wish thing as Alf. And apparently Brandon Tartikoff said, we should make a Christmas special around this story because we've had issues with Brandon Tartikoff this year. But in terms of ratings and everything, absolutely. And there are a lot of what we call very special episodes in American TV from the 80s, obviously. But Alf has always kind of avoided those. It's always not been moralising. And so not only to do this feels off kilter a little bit, but also for it to be based on reality.
You can see from a TV exec's point of view that if he had seen a video of Alf doing a chat with a dying child, and he says here, Fusco says his general approach was to keep the mood light and playful, make jokes and small talk, not talk about the situation, and just be Alf. And you can imagine a TV exec seeing that and thinking that would make a good special episode.
Yeah.
So it puts this episode in a certain context that makes it make a bit more sense. It's baffling. If you come to it cold, it's completely baffling and bewildering.
And I imagine a lot of people did see this. This was like their first Alf because, big ratings and everything. And it is sold as one of those Christmas specials, which probably got a lot more repeats than regular episodes, to be honest with you, as well. imagine this being the first Alf you saw, bloody hell. And then you'd be like, why is he now much more of a dick in every order? Why is he not being kind and gentle and waving at dying children?
But again, because we, as we say many times, come at this from a British perspective, and it's not really a done thing on British TV to do very special episodes.
No.
And indeed, very special episodes aren't really much of a thing these days anymore. As Paul Fusker, again, in this interview, Paul Fusker said, what kind of shows do that thing today? The Big Bang Theory wouldn't do something like that. And he ponders whether they overdid it back then, or is it just because there's so much horror in the world right now, he says, they want to give audiences pure escapism.
I don't know. I feel there was enough actual quality drama around at the time to do stories like this that sort of basically forcing Alf into it is... it's a stretch.
He is at least aware that people think they overdid it. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's famous for being one of the most depressing bits of television of all time.
But that's the whole thing about it. Is it's so bewildering. I read so much stuff about the making of it and behind the scenes to try and get some context for it, to make it make sense. That's really, and I hope this episode of Alfsplaining has helped make it make sense. I think we might have made it worse.
I wish for death on a daily basis. There is a treacly new version of the theme, which plays out over the end as well.
My word.
Again, it's like we don't get that nice new theme that Alf Closing did, but we do get this one, which is twice as long and twice as horrible. So good, which is kind of the tagline for this entire episode, both of Alf and Alfsplaining.
Twice as long and twice as horrible.
Yeah, that is it. And you know what? I'm not saying that Brandon Tartikoff was watching Alf talking to a dying girl and was wanking at the same time. I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. No, you didn't.
That was just something I thought and then said with my mouth. He's dead now, so he don't matter. He's not going to sue.
That's fine.
It's fine.
We did kill him, though, didn't we?
No, him we did, yeah. But Benji Gregory, absolutely not. But
no.
Everyone else we've ever mentioned in this entire programme since the pilot, dead. all gone. All gone.
This is a serious message for everyone listening to my update right now. I want to tell you, please, that I, Ruth Husko, am warning you with peace and love about Alfsplaining, the UK's #1 podcast in the UK, top of the podcast charts, about Alf, the much beloved 80s sitcom about everyone's favourite furry alien. Well, I was asked to be on the podcast and no one warned me with peace and love about how soft Alf's snout would be. Ever since I made my appearance on Alfsplaining, thoughts of Alf's soft snout have consumed my every waking moment. I've lost sleep, I've lost friends, I've lost jobs, because all I can think about is sinking my teeth into that juicy soft snout. Yum, yum, yum. People say it's just a puppet, but it's more than that to me. It's just taken over my life and nothing's ever going to be the same. Thanks a lot, guys. Ta-da.
Which brings us to the end of this episode. Who knew we'd get to the end of it alive?
It's incredible. I can't believe it. It's the most wonderful time of the year, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it? Is that a thing? People say that?
It is now we've finished Alf Special Christmas. It's the most wonderful. It's plain sailing now for the rest of our lives.
Oh, brilliant. Fantastic. That's a good point, actually. We never have to review this episode again. It is a Merry Christmas after all! Thank you so much to all the people who recorded very kind messages for us for this special. Thank you to you, obviously, for listening throughout this entire year. This really has been a year devoted entirely to Alf-based things for us. I am amazed how much Alf has taken over our lives, and yet very, very happy with it.
Well, I'm perfectly content in my existence wallowing in Alf.
Well, can we rename it? Is it too late to rename the podcast? Wallowing in Alf.
I'm saving that for the book.
Still got Mel Mac and me. Still could happen. It's still there. So we'll be back after Christmas, pretty soon after Christmas as well, with a brand new episode.
I hope that one continues the sentimentality of this one. It doesn't suddenly lurch back into normality.
Yeah. So that's all to look forward to next year, isn't it?
Hooray!
If you are listening to this before Christmas Eve, me and John have done an extra special of extras. We're actually doing a thing for noiseboxradio.com where we are fixing the Christmas charts of the 80s and 90s because John had some interaction with that particular...
I had a bit of beef with the Christmas chart in 1999, let's put it that way.
Yeah, so if you can listen, please do. That's Ben and John Christmas Chart Fixes on Noisebox Radio, Christmas Eve, 7 p.m. And we'll be back next year with all the same. And you can find us, of course, on Alfsplaining on all the socials and Alfsplaining Extra on the Patreon, which is extra for Alfs and Plaining. And I really need to go and lie down.
Not in a hospital bed, I hope.
In a bath full of bleach. And if that isn't the lovely Christmas festive image to leave you with, I'm bothered.
God bless us, one and all.
Merry Christmas, everybody!
Hooray!
Even out.
Hi, I'm Phil Fletcher, and I appeared on Alfsplaining, and since then I've been penniless and living in a ditch, but I wouldn't have changed my experience for the world. Is that all right, guys? Is that enough?